Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us again today. My name is Damien.
And I'm Sophie.
We've got a really interesting podcast for you today. We're going to keep this intro very short. I know I say that every time because we want to get right into it with you. Talking to Damien from the Physio Society, and we're really looking forward to interview him and talking to him about what the society does. Once you've listened to it, please join us on social media. You can find us at the Student Physio Podcast, and we'll look forward to hearing your comments and reading your comments and interacting with you that way. So let me introduce to you, Damien. Welcome.
All right, nice to meet you both.
Glad to have you.
Thank you for coming on, Damien. Now we've not spoken much over the time my time at King's, but you and I have sent a few messages back and forth to organise this. So as much for me as for anybody else listening, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a bit about you?
So I'm Damien. I'm the president of the Physio Society for the year. So this is my third year. I've taken a year out during my second year. So I finished semester one, took a year out, funnily enough, just as COVID was starting, and then joined back in the second year in January, beginning of this year. And I'm a mature student like yourself, Damien. Kind of flitted between careers, but physio was something that I always had going on in the background that I wanted to do.
Okay.
I've worked as a personal trainer, I've worked in insurance, I've done various bits of bar work, rigging, that kind of thing. So always, manual hands-on jobs. And I think, there's a natural attraction to physio for those kinds of people who are like that.
Grand.
Yeah.
So you took a year out. What was the purpose, or what was the reason for taking a year out?
It's kind of like, do I really want to stay in London for lockdown? And, then there was back of my mind that I should go back and help family out because it's going to be a very difficult time. And you could feel that going into the first lockdown. And then all the work that I was doing. So I had a part-time job out of uni that I could work for an agency where I could just pick up work wherever I wanted. But it was within the events industry. So, of course, that all disappeared and no one knew what was really going to happen with events. Like, when were we going to be able to go out again? When would life be normal? And, we're finally getting to that point now. But at the time, it was just, I think everyone was a bit worried. And, the furlough schemes and things like that, there wasn't a lot to help students out. If you had your own business or, you were a temporary worker or whatever, there was no government support in place. And that was another factor that played into my thinking was, as a student in London, it's quite tough.
Yeah.
Living off the student loan alone, you need to go out and do work to make ends meet. And without that financial security, that was another factor that pushed me towards taking a year out. And just a culmination of too much going on at once for me to be able to see out my year.
Yeah.
Obviously, there was that passion to still see the degree out.
Okay, brilliant. I mean, it's good that we had that flexibility, and yeah, it sounds like you did the right thing. Obviously, family comes first, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh yeah, you have to have your priorities in order, I think, at university. Don't get me wrong, the degree should come first over things like work and social life and stuff, because it's the degrees are tough. But at certain points, if family are going through a difficult problem or a difficult time, sometimes you need to take that space out from uni. And credit to the staff, they're all wonderful and very supportive. When I was going through, and the process of taking a year out is not very complicated.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know that. Right. I think the pandemic's made everybody kind of look at what's going on and reshuffle their priorities, because it's so. I mean, the last year it's been kind of crazy for everybody. But I think you're exactly right, Damien.
This is going to get confusing, isn't it? Both of us called Damien.
Yeah. And Physio Damien. Yeah, no, that's very confusing.
It's very confusing. Luckily, we do spell our names differently. I'm AN and you're EN, so.
Yeah, I'm the correct way, I believe. But yeah.
Oh, okay. Right, it's like
Here
that,
we
is
go.
it? Okay, so so you've experienced then, being obviously you're in your third year now, aren't you? So you've experienced then both the Physio Society when you first joined, and the Physio Society during the lockdown period. So what is it that maybe attracted you to join the Physio Society in a role?
So having done a degree, a year of a degree at another university, I was heavily involved in societies there, and I think one of the good things about societies is that break from university is, you go out, you go and socialize, and you're doing stuff with university people, but it's not university focused.
Yeah.
So that for me was kind of, I looked at the Physio Society as a way to have a break from university and, kind of wind back. But also, the chance to meet people in other year groups and ask questions, gain knowledge from them, I think has been pretty invaluable for me, building those relationships across year groups. And I imagine with yourselves, having started within the pandemic, you've not quite had that inter-year group mingling that we would have had in our first year with the society.
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking about it before we came online, and apart from Archie, hello Archie, we didn't have much contact with anyone from the society in our first year. So what does the society normally do in terms of bringing the years together?
So yeah, mainly the socials. So like our first social was a welcome drink for the freshers at the SU bar, and we had a group of third and second years there to kind of welcome us, and it was good to have after the induction because it was time. It's a long day with the inductions. We all had a drink. You get to meet second and third years and hear about their experiences and how placement's going to be, what coursework's going to be like. So mainly the socials, but then we have different academic aids that we have. So the main function of the society is to provide academic support. So, we send out example essays that people have done in the past so people can get an idea of, because not everyone going into degree has done the level of essay that you need, because it is a step up from college. I did an access course personally. I imagine your route might have been similar, Damien.
It was indeed.
And it's a step up from anything you've done before because now you're referencing, you're doing bibliographies. The level of detail is a step up, and you find that each year of university is, it's a step up from what you've done before. And then there's the mock OSCEs as well. So we provide OSCE revision sessions, and I think that's another great way for the years to mingle is that, the year above will put on an OSCE session for the year below, and we probably give you things that you won't get from the university themselves.
Right.
They can only offer so much help, and we kind of step in and offer a little bit more help. Because I remember my first year getting essays through and OSCEs was such a daunting prospect. And then having the second and third years to be there and just be like, here's this, here's that, here's what they're looking for. So, for example, your first year OSCEs, 25% of the marks they're looking for are things like introducing yourself, gaining consent, wearing the correct uniform, having your name badge on. But you're not going to hear that from a university lecturer.
No.
But that's the great thing about it, and socials is the great way to get that mingling because we have the buddy scheme, and I don't know if you used any of your
we didn't actually
spoke to any of your buddies over the last year.
No, we didn't. I didn't get a buddy. No.
What's this buddy scheme? Is that like the mums and dads and grandparents?
Yeah, kind of. In our first year, we got linked with a student from the year above, and they gave us their email address and was like, "Here's your buddy. You can contact them if you need help." And I know some people did, and some people didn't get a response from their buddies, or some people didn't contact their buddies. But for me, having people that I knew in the society who just done the year I'd done, I could just go and speak to them and go, oh, what did you do for this? Or what did you do for that? And a great example was the first year reflective essay. So I was asking the social sec at the time, what did you do for your essay? Like, I'm a bit sure how to, I know the Gibbs cycle, but I'm a bit unsure how to go it. And she pointed out to me another reflective system that was only 4 different points you had to go through.
Right.
And I ended up using that because it was a lot easier for me to process. But I would never have thought to go out and look for another because, Gibbs is the one that's everyone recognizes the reflective process.
Yeah.
But there are other models out there. And, I would never have thought to go and ask her if I hadn't met her at one of the socials and built that rapport and relationship up with her.
Really useful. I mean, I've said this before on a few different podcasts that I've done, that the thing that I think our first years missed out on was that kind of personal interaction, because we were all based from home apart from 1 day a week. We did miss out on the kind of the niceties, the social interactions that you get from being face to face with someone. I mean, I know we're not face to face now, but we still get that kind of different texture, really, to how a conversation's going to go, or how the opinion you will form of someone, compared to when you do it online.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, one of the nice things we had in my first year, and I think it's one of the things that will get lost with blended learning, is, we'd on the days, so it was a Tuesday, I think we had anatomy in the morning. And if you've sat through Alistair's anatomy lectures, 2 hours is a long time to be just focused on one subject, and you're kind of drained for the rest of the day. But the nice thing was we'd do Alistair's anatomy lecture, then we'd go to the shed or we'd go to the food market, have some time out. We could talk about other things. We could talk about what went through the lecture and if there were bits we didn't understand. And you had that tight knit. But then I met Sophie the other day, and she said something interesting, that you guys are all really close as a year group. And we didn't have that in my year because we're in person, everyone formed their own little cliques.
Right.
So you had groups of people that you hung out with outside of lectures.
Yeah.
And the groups didn't really mix too much.
Right.
But everyone had their little groups. And that's not to say we weren't friendly with each other. We were, but you spent your time with a certain group of people and didn't really mix outside of that.
Yeah.
So there's pros and cons to both ways, I think.
Yeah, I think this pandemic kind of education stuff has been very funny, because we would spend all day behind a screen, and then we'd have that 1 day a week, which is quite literally like Christmas every week. And we'd go in and we'd see people and we'd have all this like pent up, like, I don't know what you would call it, like emotions or, energy, that when you see people, you're just like, oh my God,
social energy.
Yeah, and it's just like, it all just goes off. And then at the end of the day, you're absolutely drained, but you're like, cool, that's my social interaction done for the week. Until next week. It was just so crazy. I think that's why we're so close.
I think so. I think anyway, right. I hadn't really thought of it like that, Damien, in the sense that, when we're interacting on Teams, we do have a slightly wider pool to choose from, because we're not literally limited like you guys were, in your little groups, and you stuck to those on a regular basis. I'm sure we still do that as well. I've got people from my groups that I would hang out with when we go face to face. But you're right. I think that we do have this kind of a wider pool to choose from, don't we?
I mean, you think about it at school, you have a group of mates, and that's who you spend your break times with, and it's probably a natural human phenomenon. But because partly it's maybe because you don't have the interaction with other year groups, and there's not the other socials as well, that the regular people who attend socials. Maybe that's another factor. I don't know how it's come about, but it's interesting that you're so close as a year group, because we just didn't have that in our year. People just had people, they always sat with the same people, and you don't really have that, because all of a sudden now we're all sat behind a computer screen. We all have that in common. But we didn't have that when you went into a lecture. You know, you sat with the same people, you ate with the same people, and that was it. It was just very different, you know, different polarized groups.
Yeah. Cool.
Sure.
So, that was what has happened. What's the society going to be doing this year and then moving forwards? That's going to be different to what you've been through in the last two.
Sort of taking the stance for this year that things can only get better, because the society had a rough ride last year. Obviously, there was no socials. Anything they could do was linked to being behind a computer because that's all we could do. And we lost one of our major sponsorships last year as well. Another byproduct of COVID is, you know, these companies have less money to chuck around. So, you know, this year's got to be about rebuilding and trying to get the society back to what it was, because the year before COVID, we had the most successful year the society's ever had. And it was such a wrong time for it to come about because, you know, we're almost starting again with, we've got to get people into the society, because if we don't have the memberships, the society stops. And, you know, we had real big problems, even just recruiting for committee members this year, because people don't know what the society is anymore. You know, it was this thing where we met every 2 to 3 weeks as a society. We had regular talks going on, and much like everyone's social lives, it's all just disappeared. So I think this year, you know, we've got our wonderful social sex on hand to get that up and running again, and it's just reaching out to people. We're looking to restart the annual tour. So basically the mystery tour is we go away for a weekend. Nobody knows where we're really going until the day that we go. And it comes at such a welcome time because, you know, it's usually around February after people have had exams in January, or, you know, and then it just gives you that energy for finishing the year out. And we'll have our end of the year ball. So as a social sec, I was social sec when COVID hit, and we were in the middle of planning for the end of year ball. And then all of a sudden we couldn't book anywhere. If we could book anywhere, it was like, oh, no more than 20 people. And it was really disappointing because, you know, the last 2 years they've missed out on graduations. They've not really had any celebration for finishing their degree. And that's another thing the ball gives you is, you know, we have a celebration of the end of the year. It's proper suit and tie dinner. So we sit down, have a 3-course meal, and then we just go out wherever the night takes us. And it's a really good way to see the year out. So, you know, I want to focus on bringing back that inter-year mingling and having that lease for university, because it is a difficult and stressful time.
Yes.
I can't think of a time at university where I've not felt overwhelmed. And I think as the years go on, you just become accustomed to being overwhelmed and how you deal with it. But it would be good to offer the people, the students, that chance of some freedom and a bit of an enjoyment with the university that everyone's probably missed out with COVID.
Yeah.
So Damien, if you could summarize the social aspect of the society from like your own opinion in 3 words, what would you go with?
Ooh, 3 words. Fun, laughter, enjoyment, I guess.
Good.
You know, that socials are not meant to be this thing where people turn up and it's cliquey. You know, it's meant to be, let's go and do something fun, forget about university for a few hours, and let's go and do something random. We tried to organize a roller disco night, went horrifically wrong, but it's the kind of thing like, let's do something different that people probably haven't done before. You know, we have a lot of students who don't live in London who will probably come down here and they're like, oh God, it's so big. You know, I'm from Manchester, and essentially second biggest city in the country. And even I came to London and I was like, oh my God, there's so much going on. Like, I don't even know where to start or what to do. but London has so much going for it. There's so many opportunities to go out and socialise. It's good to offer people something. And there's probably people who live in London who've never done half the things that are available as well. So we had the Freshers Social the other day, and there were people like, oh, I'm looking forward to actually seeing London as a tourist because I've lived there my entire life and not done anything touristy.
Yeah.
So it's good to offer those opportunities as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, kind of two things that have come to mind. And the first one is something's in the works. And the second one is another question, actually. And it's if you had to kind of talk to the first years, I mean, you could say it now if you want and say, how would you describe the society and why should they join?
I mean, the difficult thing with a society like ours is we're 100% an academic society. So, you know, we're here to support physiotherapy students. And you 100% should go out and join other societies, meet other people, especially if it's something you're interested in. So, you know, if you play a sport or you have a vested interest in other areas that societies are available, 100% go and join them. But ours is specifically to support the physio students from King's. And I think one thing that differs from our degree to other degrees, or maybe medical degrees to other degrees, is that we're at Guy's campus. We're relatively shut off from other courses. So you only come across other medical students at Guy's, and you spend most of your time, you only spend your time with physio students, where other degrees, you may mix and match with other degrees that have crossover subjects. So we spend 3 years together as a course, and we don't really have many interactions with other degrees unless it's a medical degree and it's the IPT, which if you've done is an interesting process. But you know, you spend some time with other medical students and you never really see them again unless you spot them around uni, and then it's a 5-minute catch up and you probably don't have that much interaction with them again. So what we give you is we give you help throughout your year to get the most out of your qualification. And without that, the society shuts down. We don't give help with essays. We don't give help with OSCEs, which if you've had the help from the society in the past is a massive factor. Like I would not have the grades I have without help from other years. And that's not because I'm a lazy student or anything like that. It's because different assessors have different criteria that they look for.
Yeah.
And they will give you some examples, but I think that's the biggest help is like knowing what people are looking for in assessment, because I'm probably not the most academically savvy. So I can write an essay, but am I covering the points that I need to be covering, or am I going on a tangent that I don't need to? And without the academic support I've had from the society, I would have struggled a lot more, definitely. And that's the reason we need to keep the society going. That's the reason we need memberships, because without memberships, without a committee, the only help you're going to get is from the university. And, you know, that's a bit of a double-edged sword for them, because, you know, they can hold back on information that they give you, where we as a society can probably give a bit more information. And yeah, we need memberships to support that. Without those things, and, you know, we do give back with the membership. So things like the end of year ball, the physio tour, members get £10 off those, which, you know, if you go to both of them, you're making money back essentially. And then there's the kit as well. There's the kit as well. You know, we do discounts for the kit. So we don't have a kit secretary yet, but we will still be going ahead and releasing kit usually around October.
Yeah.
And we offer discounts to members for things like that. So, you know, we do give back to our members is another point to highlight.
The reason I'm not wearing my my KCL Physio hoodie today is because I've worn it so much this week. It's in the wash.
The polo shirts are always a favorite, I think.
Yeah, I wear mine all the time. I was allowed to wear my my polo shirts on my placements that I did over the summer, so I wore those quite regularly. So that was quite good.
Yeah, everyone loves those.
Good. Okay, so just quickly then, if you can remember that off the top of your head, what positions within society are you trying to recruit for at the moment?
Off the top of my head, the biggest two are the kit secretary and the charity secretary. So we do have we do a different charity every year. Tend to be focused on charities attached to factors that affect us that we'll see within placement. So, charities that I can remember, we had Mind Charity one year, we had Blind Football Charity, we did one for a LGBT society that was promoting, kind of physiotherapy NHS routes. So, we always try and do that, and then we'll try and link events into it. And I know Sophie's keen to do some stuff this year.
Yeah, George and I are in the works.
So, we could use someone to come in and help support them, because having been social sec, it's a lot of work. There's a lot of enjoyment and a lot of reward out of doing it, but it is a lot of work, and second year is hard.
Yeah.
So having someone to come in and support them, the year we were social secs, we organised a pub quiz, and the charity sec took over most of the work. We just helped them out, pointed them in the right direction. But it was nice for us to have a bit of a break while we were organising the tour, as in, someone who's organising an event, and it gives us a break to focus on tour, because that is, I can't explain how difficult it is to organise a mystery trip to somewhere with 30 people. But also, they can deal directly with the charities, because there's a lot of work that goes into that, as well as, finding a charity saying we want to support you, having close links with them. And then the kit secretary goes without sort of speaking. They organise everything for the kit. So they'll release the order forms, they'll organise collecting the kit, they'll organise giving the kit out. And, that's a lot of work for a 2-week period. So they don't have as much to do throughout the year. But when they are busy, they have, an intense 2 or 3 weeks getting everything sorted.
Yeah.
And then we tend to do that in October, and round about February, March time, you do 2 kit releases. And and it's an invaluable to have on your CV, I think, as well. If you've ever done a job interview before, they always ask about times where you've worked under pressure, or times that things haven't gone well for you. And being a member of the committee can give you those opportunities to say, look, I've worked within a team, I've done things that maybe haven't worked out, or you can use those experiences as to boost your chance of getting a job. And me as president now, I'm looking at, well, there's some management skills involved with bringing everyone together. So my role is probably a bit more hands off, but I'm still responsible for everyone making sure they're doing what they should be doing.
Yep.
And bringing the team together. And there's stuff I can talk about in interviews with those skills that I acquire.
Exactly. That's the leadership for you, isn't it? When I interviewed Adam back in July, the previous president of the society, he said that the mystery tour was his favourite part. That it's a really enjoyable thing to go and do. So glad that's going to be coming back. So we tend to ask everybody this as a kind of a closing remark, really. What tips have you got for studying physio?
I mean, first and foremost is look after yourself. As we said, you will feel constantly overwhelmed. There will be moments where you want to tear your hair out. You'll be stressed. You'll be worrying about things. So look after yourself. Eat, go to the gym, have something that you can go away and do that's going to relieve the stress and help you out.
Yeah.
It's so important to look after yourself at university, because it can go so wrong if you don't. My second top tip would be do the work that you need to do. So university differs so much from previous academic experiences. You go to lectures and they give you the bones of what you need to know. And then it's your ability to go away and put some meat on those bones. And that increases each year. So, I think about when I did anatomy, I just go in and sit and listen to what Alistair had to say. But then I spent so many hours doing extra work, trying to put the pieces of what he was saying together, because he gives you a lot of information, But actually, when you sit down and you see the exam questions, you've got to be able to put those pieces that he's give you together, and doing the extra reading, as tasking as it is what gives you that.
Yeah.
And if you're something that you don't recognize or you're feeling overwhelmed, just go away and do a bit of reading on the subject, because all of a sudden, you could take 15 minutes out of your day and all of a sudden everything clicks and you go like, oh my God, that's not that complicated. But, the first time you hear a basal ganglia and you sat there and you're like, what the hell is a basal ganglia?
Very true. Very true.
So go away and do the. My final tip will be do your essays early. I've spoken to so many people who, you're on the day the essay is due, and they're like, how are you doing? How are you feeling about it? Like, oh, I've been up all night. I've got 1,000 words to go. I'm stressing. Like, I don't know if I'm going to get it in time. And you're like, why have you done this to yourself? Like, you literally get a month to do the essays.
Yeah.
And I've been guilty of it myself. So we had an OSCE in second year, and then 2 days after the OSCE, we had an assignment due, and I had 1,000 words to write in 2 days, and it was on. Had to do some stuff on SPSS, which you learn more about in second year, but it's statistics,
right?
And we had to do like a research report using statistics, and I had 2 days to do it, and it took me a day just to get my stats, and I had to write it out in a day, and I was like, God, I'm not doing this again. We got a 2,000 word essay a week later set, and I was like, you know what, I'm not leaving this to chance anymore. I did 2,000 words in 2 days, and I just sat back for a month. And then it got to the day of hand-in, and people were like, oh my God, like, I don't know how I'm going to finish this. Like, hand-in's at 4 o'clock, and I've got 1,000 words to go. And you're just like, this was so much easier just getting it out of the way.
Yeah.
I've had time to go back and re-edit it if I wanted to. I've had a chance to go to other people and say, can you proofread this for me? It just made my life so much easier having it done within the first week, and going into third year, everything will be done within the first week now, because it just makes your life so much easier.
Yeah.
Valuable tips there. I think we can definitely use them, especially the essay one. I'm a bit of I don't leave it to last minute, but I leave it very close. Maybe like, 4 days before, and then I'm like, oh no,
Better get started.
Yeah, real quick.
I spoke to someone who a week before his research proposal for third year had only done 1,000 words and 3,000 to go. It was crazy listening to him, the stuff he was doing just to get it over the line. And, how can you expect to have a good grade if you're rushing and you're trying to get it all done in a short time frame? Just get it out of the way, I think.
Get it out of the way early. Exactly. Thank you so much. Thank you very much for joining us. We really appreciate your time. Good luck with your final year, and with all the society stuff as well. And hopefully we'll see you around campus.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you
Damien.
both.
Nice to meet you.
Bye.